Alright, so I'm back. I had a pretty busy couple of weeks at work, so I didn't have a chance to post in the last few days, but probably gonna post 2 videos this week. And for the first one, I'm gonna do one of the videos I've been probably more excited to do, and that's the Viron Dreamhand. Now, if you watch the Director Dreamhand video, I've told you this was my reason for starting the channel, even though it's kind of silly. And if you've watched some of my other videos, you'll know that Viron is my favorite corp. So, yeah, this should be a fun one. Let's get started. Alright, so I'm just gonna repeat the ground rules for the Dreamhand videos. The objective is to just think of a stupid hand that you can mostly play in your first generation, maybe first and second, and maybe leave a point card for the last generation. But think of a hand that can be the best possible for every corporation or every corporation that I do a video for. I will be going for synergy instead of just adding the best cards on every corporation. So like I could add AI Central and Earth Catapult to every hand, but I'm gonna go for what makes it like synergy stupid. And then again, I'm not gonna make any assumptions on cards that you draw outside of the first 10. Because if you do that, honestly, there's you've probably seen some videos on YouTube where you terraform Mars in one generation. You just have to get extremely lucky with every card draw. So yeah, I couldn't top that with any corporation. So it's just gonna be an assumption on the first 10 cards, the Preludes, if I choose Preludes. That's the other rule. I will be choosing the expansion based on what's convenient for each hand. And Prelude's probably going to be on all of them, because Prelude definitely improves your opening hand. Yeah, so let's get started. Okay, so let's talk a little about Viron. Viron, as I've said, is my favorite corporation. I find it really fun, and basically you just want things to tap. I don't think it's a very strong corporation, really. I wouldn't play with it. Well, I mean, I do play with it anyway because I love it, but if you wanted to win the game more than anything, I wouldn't play with it unless I got a pretty decent card that you can tap and play early. Now there's a few of those. This is not such a crazy thing that there's quite a few of those. Usually the card draw ones are really good, but still, it is sort of a heavy condition on the game, and they don't do, the starting capital is 48. It's not bad, but other than that, really, that they're a one-trick pony. The thing is that one trick can be many things, but you do need a card to tap. Alright, before we get started, let's go over a few things I will be tracking. And so that's the science and energy tax, the energy production, and then your mega credits, and your total steel, plants, and titanium. You'll see why each of these is relevant, but let's get started. So the Viron Dreamhand is a 7-card hand, so you're supposed to start with 48 cash. So you pay for 7 cards, you have 27 cash now. Now for Preludes, I went with 2 not super popular Preludes. First off, Supplier. Now Supplier gives me 2 energy production. Energy production is going to be important, and 4 steel, which I'm definitely going to use. And then Supply Drop. Okay, so this is a decent Prelude. It's just not a Prelude that I thought I would pick, especially because the 3 plants, I didn't think I'd have a use for them, but it actually ended up, all figuring itself out pretty nicely. So Supply Drop gives me 3 titanium, 8 steel for a total of 12 steel, and then 3 plants. Okay. Okay, and let's get started. So the first card I'm going to play is Solar Wind Power. So I'm gonna play that with 3 titanium, which would put it at 0, and 2 money, costs 11, but it gives him back 2 titanium. And that's gonna put my energy production at 3, and my science tax at 1, and my energy tax at 2. After that, I'm gonna play Trans-Neptunian Probe with the 2 remaining titanium. So I don't need to pay any money for that, but that does increase my science tax to 2. Okay, after that, so I have already 3 energy tags. 2 energy tags, so I play Fusion Power. That'll be my 3rd energy tag and my 3rd science tag. And I'm just gonna pay that with 7 steel. So my steel goes to 5, and my energy production now gets to 6. Okay, after that, Electro Catapult. So really great card, obviously great synergy with Viron. An Electro Catapult, I'm gonna pay that with 5 steel, that's gonna be 10, and then 7 money, so my money goes to 18. My steel is now 0, and my energy production goes down by 1, so it goes to 5. And then what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna sell 1 plant with Electro Catapult, so my money goes to 25. And then I'm gonna use Viron's ability to sell the 2nd card, and my money goes to 32. So I'm down to 1 plant, and then I'm gonna pay the card that everyone expected, AI Central. So I have my 3 tags. I'm just gonna pay that with money, so that's 21. That puts me down to 11. That's actually my 4th science tag, and it will bring my energy production down to 4. No, I'm gonna draw these 2 cards in this generation, obviously, but like I said, I'm making no assumptions as to what those cards are. So yeah, you just have 2 extra cards. And then finally, with the 11 I have left, I have just enough to play Geothermal Power. Now that will increase my energy tax to 4, and my energy production to 6. And then the 7th card I bought, I'm not going to play in the 1st generation, but that's Physics Complex. So you will be able to play that in the 2nd generation. There's just no point in playing in the 1st one anyway, because you don't have the energy resources, just the production. But you will be able to put resources on these on the 2nd generation. And yeah, that rounds up the Viron Dreamhand. So let's just summarize what happened. So basically, you didn't do much in terms of money production or discounts, which is bad, but you do have Electro Catapult, and which can give you 14 money per turn minus what you sell, which does have some value. And then you have a turn 1 AI Central. Now, here's the crazy thing about Viron. A lot of what happened here is unlikely, right? But the early AI Central is not so crazy. Like round 2, round 3 AI Central is totally feasible, and this is honestly the strongest part of the hand. I mean, having Electric Catapult and then Physics Complex is gonna make it ridiculous, but because you'll be drawing 4 cards, that like the 4 card draw from early, that's the real killer. That's like you would probably get Physics Complex and Electric Catapult anyway. So this is part of the reason I love Viron. It's even though I hate early AI Central, but it's the stupid combos that they can just break the game out of nowhere. Like you can feel the Viron player is just doing nothing, and then they play a game changer. Electro Catapult and AI Central are usually pretty much the worst ones they can play on you, unless you have like ecology experts and fish or something. So that in turn 1 can be pretty bad. But yeah, it's pretty crazy. But like 3 science stacks, especially with Preludes, not hard. So yeah, I think one of the craziest thing about Viron is that. So yeah, let's discuss what would your next generations look like. So you're gonna be you have your 6 energy production to like tap Physics Complex 1 per turn. That's gonna put a lot of pressure on your opponent to finish that game early, because you basically, like, if you make it to 10 generations, or let's say even 9 generations, in the first one you didn't put points, but you just you have 18 points sorry, 16 points just from Physics Complex if the game goes 9 generations, which is maybe enough to win. Um, Besides, you are drawing 4 extra cards per turn, which means you see double the cards your opponent sees. Well, if you're drafting, it's less, but still, you're gonna see 4 extra cards, which is like 1 extra draft, except they're all free. And then you have some different but constricted production with Electro Catapult. So early in the game, you're going to be alternating. You usually going to want to tap AI Central twice every turn. But if you're like getting too many cards in your hand, then you probably want to do Electro Catapult that turn twice, maybe just draw 2 and be able to play more cards. So the first, I would say the first 5 or 6 generations, you're probably gonna tap a Central 4 or 5 times, and then Electro Catapult. Maybe there are 2 because it's really your only money production, especially the first generation. But AI Central is gonna find you a lot of good production cards that you're gonna be able to play anyway. And then for the last 2 or 3 generations, or if you're comfortable like with cards 4, you are going to want to hit Physics Complex twice. Now AI Central will have to find you the energy production. Now the good thing is that you're already on 4 science stacks, and Physics Complex, which you play in the next generation, will be your 5th science stat, which means you can play Mass Converter and Quantum Extractor whenever you draw them. I wanted to include them in the opening hand, but I just needed the 3 cash. So yeah, an alternative was playing peroxide power instead of geothermal power, and including mass converter. But I just think because AI Central is gonna find you some energy production anyway, and you don't really need the other 6 energy production until like 6 generations into the future. I just think this is a little better, but that's definitely an alternative. Okay, let's discuss the expansions. Now, this was kind of tricky. None of the cards that I used are from. They're all from the base game. All the 7 cards are from the base game. And I did look, but the expansions are very expansion themed. So, yeah, I didn't really have any cards from the expansions. And the other question is, do I need the expansions? Now, here's the thing. Base game plus Prelude is the fastest like combination of expansions that you can play with, and you really want a slow game. Like in any game that goes like to 10 generations, you win for sure. 9, probably 11. It's just like you destroy the guy. So even though I don't have any expansions, and I don't like any cards from the expansions, and I don't really feel like Viron benefits from any of the expansion mechanics, let's analyze each one to see if we can add one to make the game longer. Alright, so let's begin with Venus. Now, Venus has a lot of tappy cards because of all the floaters. None of them are going to be better than the 3 ones you already played. Right? So this is actually not a factor. Like that was my first instinct. This is actually not a factor. So yeah, I don't think I would add Venus. Like every card they add is slow, but you can completely bypass like terraforming Venus, and the deck does become a little less dense, more dense in terms of like development and long game cards and like Venus cards that no one would use. So that might the game a little bit slower. But your opponent, after seeing your first hand, is probably not gonna go for a Venus strategy anyway. So yeah, let's. And I don't think anything in it really helps you, even though like what helps you is probably like victory point cards, right? So up next, let's talk about Turmoil. I'm going not in order. You'll probably see why, but what does Turmoil give you? So the bonuses. Is there one party that really benefits you? You have no titanium production to like benefit from Unity, which is one of the slow ones. You don't need the scientist. You're not gonna ever pay 10 for cards. You're gonna be like struggling to play all the cards AI Central draws you. You definitely don't want to pay 10 for 2 more, and you don't want your opponent to have the possibility to do so, because you really want the card game to be as uneven as possible. And then, yeah, the Calvinists, no, you don't want to rush it. The Greens, you don't want to rush it. Mars first, there's some good tiles, but. And you do have some building tiles, tags, that the bonus would, like, I think you're up to 4, even though I didn't track them. But does it give you that much? Are you gonna play a bunch of tiles? You don't have any tiles in hand. You'll probably draw a lot, but I mean, it's maybe a minor advantage to put Mars first in there. Um, and then finally the Reds. No, the Reds do benefit you. So the Reds could be a good thing to put there. Um, they do make the game a lot harder for a terraforming player, but because you didn't really focus on money in your opening hand, I'm not sure you're gonna have that much control over the Senate. You're left with 0, so you definitely can't put them in the next generation. So at best you can put them in at Gen 3 and then 5. That's gonna matter a little, but I don't know. I decided to go with Colonies. So why Colonies? Okay, so first one, Colonies also has a lot of tappy cards. None of them better than the ones you have, so you're probably not gonna use any of them. But it has a lot of Jovian cards, and the Jovian cards are like the long game player's friend. They're just gonna give you points, and Jovian's gonna probably be your best avenue to victory. Besides that, you have 6 energy, which, if like, you're probably gonna get more soon, but if you need to skip physics complex one turn and just get a huge trading bonus, you go for it. You're probably gonna get the second or even third trade fleet because of all the cards you draw. And the only thing that could not be great if it's Pluto is in the game. So if Pluto is in the game, I mean, that Pluto makes the game even longer, but it might make it a little more even. So I generally don't like Pluto when I have all the card draw, because it makes the card draw a little more even, right? Although making it longer is not ideal for your opponent. You already have like, it's almost impossible for him to get an advantage of you in a long game after this start. So even Pluto is not that bad. The worst, I mean, maybe in Ganymede is not that efficient, and Io is shit. Hit sucks, remember? Hit sucks. So, yeah, I decided to go with Colonies. I don't really need to add it. I think you probably win this game with Basium, but I just think, you can have a 7 or 8 generation game with base plus Prelude. And so, yeah, I think adding an opponent is safe. Adding an expansion is safe. Now, let's talk about the boards. So, first off, Elysium. Yeah, Elysium, you're not really in for any of the milestones. Generalist and specialist, you're like far from them. You didn't. I mean, you have the energy production, so forget it. Ecologist, you didn't play any of those tags. Tycoon, you'll probably get, because you'll draw so many cards. But Tycoon is not the fastest one. And then Legend, okay, Legend, you haven't played any events, so you're out basically on all the milestones at that point. And then the awards, you're probably getting Industrialist. But the other ones are really focused on the board. Desert Settler, State Dealer on the board. You don't want to play the board. Benefactor on Terraforming. You don't want to terraform. And then the Celebrity. Again, this is probably your best one, but just it doesn't align. And also Elysium's a very like ground game friendly board. So yeah, forget it. There's too many plans, too many good tiles. Not at all. So then Tharsis. So you do have Builder, and you have a pretty good head start on Builder. You've played, I think, let me check, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 building decks. So Builder would be yours, especially with AI Central. So you and then Planner would be yours. So you're in for 2 milestones for sure. The other three are probably lost. That's the thing. You have two guaranteed and three kind of lost. And then for awards, scientists probably will be yours. The others are up in the air. Now you, because you have card draw, you have an advantage on every award. But Tharsis is still too friendly, so let's talk about Hellas. Hellas, you already have Energizer. Like you can claim that round 2 if you wanted to. You're not going to, but you could. And then you're halfway there with Tactician. You've played 3 cards with requirements. Electro Catapult, AI Central, and Fusion Power. So you played 3 cards with requirements, and you need 2 more. You have AI Central. You probably got Tactician. Now Polar Explorer won't be yours. Diversifier, probably yours too. You have 4 tags already: Science, Energy, Space, and Building. And again, AI Central really helps with Diversifier. And Rim Settler, you don't have any Jovian. You probably won't be able to get that one, but your opponent is not gonna go for a Jovian strategy because they would lose the game. So they're really only playing for Polar Explorer, and they might try to fight you on Tactician and Diversifier, but they probably will lose that battle. Whereas on Tharsis, just to go back into it, yeah, you probably win Builder and Planner, but they can really get Gardener and Mayor, and if they get lucky with some Preludes, they might get there faster than you get if you get unlucky with Builder. So there's basically 2 guaranteed on Tharsis, and 3 where you don't have an advantage. There's 1 guaranteed on Hellas, which is Energizer, but then really big advantage on Diversifier and Tactician. And Rim Settler, even though you don't have anything, your opponent shouldn't go for it. So they only really have an avenue to 1, so you're probably going to win 2 or 3 milestones. And then the awards: Eccentric is yours, Space Baron Contractor probably yours because of AI Central, Magnate probably yours. So they really are going for Cultivator. So yeah, I think Hellas is the best. Plus, it's the one with like the worst ground game possibilities. So yeah, I really think this is the board to pick. Okay, and finally, let's discuss alternatives. So I only really have one that I kind of mentioned already, and that's instead of Geothermal Power, you play Peroxide Power, which is cheaper. 4 cheaper, which means you have space to buy 1 more card, so an 8 card hand that has a Mass Converter. And you are guaranteed your... You can actually also play that 2nd gen, and if you want, start hitting the double victory points with Physics Complex, then you can. Or, you know, you just have you're guaranteed 6 extra power for Physics Complex whenever you do that 5 or 6 generations into the future. Like I said, I really didn't, like, you don't really do anything for your income, and I really didn't want to hit it with Peroxide Power. And you really don't need the energy production this early, so I think this is fine. But yeah, it's definitely an alternative if you want to secure it. AI Central will find you the energy, for sure. There's other combinations of Preludes that give you, you know, starting capital and energy that can definitely work, but I think this is the cheapest. Fusion Power is definitely a great card here. It's not a good card at all because of the 2 energy tag requirement that often once you've played 2 energy tags, you may not need 3 energy production at that point. But it's very efficient compared to like Space Mirror and even your Thermal Power and Power Plant. And then the other things, yeah, there's definitely not changes on the cards you tap. I think A Central is the best, you know, card draw. Electro Catapult is the best for money, and Physics Complex is the best for points, and so having all 3, yeah, definitely. But there is probably other ways to get that 3rd science tag for AI Central. I use Trans Neptune Probe because it's one of the cheapest science tags, and you can pay with Titanium, which combos well. with the 2 titanium that you have from solar wind power. So yeah, I think this is a way to get it done, but there might be another. There's a lot of science stack combos that could work. But yeah, that's it for the video. Leave a like, share, and subscribe, and let me know what other corporations you'd like me to do this with. And yeah, see you next time. Bye.